Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to another live Manchester United news and transfer news show on the channel. Lots and lots to talk about today. The roundup of all the news that's come out in the last 24 to 48 hours, as well as breaking news in the next few hours. So what are we going to be talking about in today's video? The David De Gea situation where there's an option to extend David De Gea's contract for another year, which would keep him here till 2024. But Erik Ten Hag is saying no and wants a new number one goalkeeper, is the first report coming in. Some reports coming in on Vlahovic to Manchester United, who will be available in 2023, and United could push for a January move. I still think that it's something that will happen in summer. Not January myself, but I will get into a report that United making a push for Vlahovic in January. On top of the Gakpo news, I'm sure if you're subscribed to the channel, you know I dropped a big video on Cody Gakpo last night. Some good sources and some really big news on Gakpo to Man United came out last night. We will reiterate that and some of the newer news on Gakpo in today's video, but I've spoke about Gakpo a lot. That this video is going to be focused on the Vlahovic news, the news about De Gea, Ten Hag forcing out Wan-Bissaka, Ten Hag forcing out quite a few players, not renewing a few contracts with new players because obviously he wants a big summer. We'll talk about new owners, the impact of new owners and new investment in the summer. How is this going to impact Ten Hag's plans? What's the latest on new owners? As well as other stuff as well, you know, the Martial situation going on. But also like the Herrera interview, which I do want to talk to, and I do want to get into really what was said in the Herrera interview, because it shows the poor mismanagement at this club. It shows the really poor mismanagement that's been at Manchester United for the last few seasons. So what we're going to do is we're going to go, and I'm going to talk about the Herrera situation. Then I'm going to get into De Gea news. Then I'm going to get into the transfer news and all of that as well. So I tweeted this. I don't know if you follow me on Twitter, but I said, Man United refusing to give Herrera a new contract who loved the club, but then giving Phil Jones a new contract a few months later who never played just sums up the lack of brain cells at this club. And basically, I don't know if you've been aware of the Herrera interview, what went down. Herrera spoke about United, how he had that season where they won the 2-3 trophies. He was voted fans player of the season, and Man United never offered him a new contract. Then the following season, Manchester United obviously didn't offer him a new contract, and then they only offered him a new contract when it was about a month to go. And if you're Ander Herrera and you're playing well for United, and he was a good player for us, the fans love you, you've been a big part of United, and you see Phil Jones get offered a bumper new contract who's not even getting on the pitch or not even playing, but yet Man United aren't giving you a contract after doing really well. He was saying that he loved Man United, he never wanted to leave, but they never offered him a contract until last minute. He said they never offered him a contract till last minute, but they were offering Phil Jones a contract. And it's just the shambles of United had a player that loved them and Ander Herrera. Ander Herrera loved United. He would be fine under Ten Hag now. I know he's in the final years of his career, but he was what we needed in midfield. He's better than McFred. Because of the board, we've had to put up with McFred. We would have at least had Herrera, Matic and Pogba. No, we had McFred because of the board, okay? Herrera loved Manchester United. He would have done a shift for us those last few seasons. He never wanted to leave. He literally cried at leaving at Man United. He talks about Man United, how much he loves it. And someone that loves Man United and wanted to stay was denied of a new contract. But yet the board go run over to Phil Jones. They run over to Phil Jones and they go, there you go, Phil Jones, have a new contract. I sit there and I think this club is just run so horrifically that I can't wait until those new owners get in and that board gets out, because to this day, we gave Eric Bailly a new contract less than a year ago. Eric Bailly was never even playing under Ollie. Why did he even accept a new deal? The board gave Phil Jones a new contract, so he's still at this club. Why is Phil Jones still at this club? Brandon Williams is on about 100k a week. Well, he's not a 100k a week player. I think he's on 75k. We're giving out ridiculous money to average players, keeping players here that shouldn't be here. And Ten Hag's coming and he wants to change the culture, which is why this links to the De Gea situation. Ten Hag is very much saying to United, do not be giving a new contract to De Gea, to Thread. Luke Shaw's going to have to prove it. Ten Hag's sin that United gave out new contracts to buy Phil Jones and players like that. And Ten Hag wants to create this new culture at United where De Gea is not my long-term plan. So as good as De Gea is, I'm not giving a new contract. Fred, I'd rather get a new midfielder in. Fred's past it. Let's not give Fred a new contract. Ten Hag, the only players Ten Hag's interested in giving a new contract to are Rashford and Delot right now, and he's keeping an eye on a one-year extension for Luke Shaw. Everyone else with 1 year left, they're not safe. They're in trouble. And Cuckoo to Chelsea, done deal, I'm hearing. Very good deal. I won't lie. Very jealous. That's a very good deal to do. But Ten Hag's slowly trying to change the culture. Rebuild says that Herrera was a very handy player always put in a shift, defended and built from the back. So he obviously had to go $1 million contracts for Jones, Rashford, Martial. I'll tell you what, the English players, we just like Phil Jones, let's give him out a new passport. Yeah, literally, let's give him out a new contract because he's English. Now, Herrera, you can fuck off. The way this club treats the non-English players, and Eric Bailly came out, and I can't remember what he said, but Eric Bailly said something like the non-English players were treated differently at United, didn't he? He said, yeah, Bailly said this once. He said the club should avoid favouring English players and give everyone a chance. And it's true. You know, the fact that Phil Jones was offered a contract in seconds, but, you know, we didn't want to give Herrera a contract. The fact that Martial, we forced him to play injured, and then they'd never tell the press what was going on with Martial. Martial did an interview and was like, I was forced to play injured, this and this happened, and Ollie didn't protect me. The club didn't protect me. But at least when it happened with Rashford, Ollie came out publicly to protect Rashford. Ollie came out publicly to, you know, protect the English players. Man United have this thing where they just treat, like, if you're English, you are like the ground of worship of God that everyone walks in. You are like basically everything that Man United want. As soon as a player's not English, there was this weird favoritism. And Ten Hag obviously replied to this and said, now he's at Manchester United, it's a different culture. No one will be favoritized. And one of my favorite things that Erik Ten Hag did was he made it very clear as soon as he came into Manchester United, if you want, you know, you're not going to be favoritised because you're Ronaldo or you're Maguire or you're English. Erik Ten Hag said everyone at United will be treated equally. He will pick teams off who deserves to play. He will pick teams off who works hard in training and who deserves to keep their place. If you play well, you win, and you work hard in training, you stay in the team. What did Erik Ten Hag do 2 games into his tenure at Manchester United? 2 games into his tenure at Manchester United, Erik Ten Hag went, all right, you know what? Maguire, you're dropped. Ronaldo, you're dropped. He dropped the biggest player in the world, Ronaldo, and captain, Mr. Untouchable English player, Harry Maguire, in 2 games. Because Erik Ten Hag knew, I think Erik Ten Hag knew there was an English bias at United. He knew there was favouritism. And Erik Ten Hag wanted to win that Manchester United squad over by dropping Luke Shaw, dropping Maguire, dropping Ronaldo, dropping the favourites, dropping the English players, and playing the players that deserve to play. And then the team won, and he kept the same team that won. He said, Garnacho, you've not worked hard enough in training. Wouldn't let Garnacho play until he proves it in training. And Erik Ten Hag's been very clear to the United players, you know, no, you're not getting a new contract, Rashford. No, you're not getting a new contract, Delo, unless you prove to me you can get one. And now that Rashford and Delo have had a good season, Ten Hag's thinking of renewing their contract. But he wasn't going to panic and go, oh, we must give Rashford and Delo a new contract so we don't lose them on a free. Ten Hag was like, no, they've got to prove they want a new contract. I want to create a culture at Manchester United where contracts are hard to come by, but I need to prove that I'm not going to have this favouritism or English bias. I'm going to play players that deserve to be here. And he's done that. And I think that is one of the reasons the Manchester United players, the Manchester United squad, and the people at Manchester United have really brought into Erik Ten Hag. I think that's one of the reasons that the players really backed Ten Hag, because he's come in with a fair attitude. There's no nonsense, no favouritism at Manchester United. You'll play if you deserve to play, treats everyone equally. You know, let's get over favouritism FC. And I think the players have really brought into that, and they like Ten Hag for that as well. Guys, please do smash that like button if you haven't already, and of course subscribe down below if you're new, and share the video as well. It's about time we have a manager that takes a charge as well. I like, exactly, Ten Hag is the boss. Ten Hag is the boss. It is very much like, if you don't behave, if you don't impress me, you don't play. Harry Maguire, he's saying, yeah, I believe there's a good player in Harry Maguire, but, you know, Varane and Martinez have been so good that they're my first choice. You know, he's very clear. You know, if you impress me in training, you're good on the pitch, you're my first choice. McTominay had a few good games, and he said, I would feel unfair to drop McTominay for Casemiro because he was playing well, because he wants to keep to his promises and reward players that are playing well. You know, there was 2 games where McTominay was playing over Casemiro, and we're thinking, what on earth? And as soon as McTominay slipped up, he put Casemiro in. Casemiro took his chance, and Casemiro played. And, you know, whether you like that or not, Ten Hag playing McTominay for 2 games in a row because he was playing well instead of Casemiro was Ten Hag saying it doesn't matter who you are, if you play well, you keep your place. McTominay then went back to normal. McTominay, Casemiro comes in as untouchable. But Ten Hag's made it clear, it doesn't matter if you're a new 100 million signing, it doesn't matter if you're Ronaldo, Maguire, or you're just a youth player. If you play well, you keep your place. And it's very much everyone's equal, everyone's fair at United. And when the Ronaldo situation went down at Manchester United, there could have been a massive, massive breakdown. You know, Ronaldo was a very influential figure in the dressing room. Bruno, Delo were very much behind Ronaldo. We know last season a lot of the problems were caused by a split camp. There was Ronaldo, some of the French and Portuguese-speaking players, and the English-speaking players. There was a divide. I think Ronaldo, Pogba, and Varane reportedly went to Ragnick and said Maguire shouldn't be captain. But then there was Luke Shaw and Maguire that reportedly didn't like Ronaldo. And, you know, we don't know what this is true or not. This is all reports. This is all rumours. This all came from like Samuel Luckhurst, I'm pretty sure. But we know there was a big divide in the United dressing room, and Ronaldo was a big figure. And, you know, your Garnachos, your Alangas absolutely love Ronaldo. Ronaldo goes on public TV and slates Ten Hag. Ronaldo in the dressing room, like, leaves the game early. Ronaldo's undermined Ten Hag in the dressing room. None of the other Man United players have. All the Man United players have been coming out saying they think that Ten Hag handled the Ronaldo situation well. They're focusing on their winning. They're not focusing on Ronaldo's drop. All the Man United players, they're on Ten Hag's side, because we've got a manager that's finally respected by the player. And now, and why is Ten Hag respected by the players? Because when we'd lost to Brentford 4-0, Ten Hag had a go at the players and he made them do a run. But Ten Hag also said, I need to take responsibility. I got my tactics wrong. When we lose, it's equally my fault and your fault. The fact that Ten Hag went and did that 10-kilometre run with the Man United players and said, it's equally mine and your fault that we lost, meant that the Manchester United players, again, gained a lot of respect for Erik Ten Hag. They thought, this guy isn't blaming us for the loss. This guy is playing players that deserve to play, treating us all equally in training, dropping Maguire, dropping Ronaldo. He's saying it's his responsibility we lost as well. He got his tactics wrong. And the Man United players have really brought into Ten Hag. Not only that, the dressing room figures Ten Hag's brought in. Casemiro, top professional, a leader in the dressing room. Martinez loves Ten Hag, worked with him at Ajax. You know, Butcher, great mentality. We know about Lisandro Martinez. Julian Timber would say, you know, if Lisandro Martinez saw him slacking, he would scream and shout at him like, what the hell are you doing? We know Martinez is very much known for keeping people in check. We have Anthony coming in with a passion, Malacia coming in with a great work rate, Eriksen coming in with experience. It's not just Ten Hag coming in. Ten Hag's making sure I've got the right personalities in, but Ten Hag's made it very clear, to be at Manchester United, you've got to have the right attitude. He did an interview, Ten Hag, and he said, to win games, to get to the top, we need players with the right mentality and attitude. And this season's a test for a lot of players. You know, there's players like Wan-Bissaka who Ten Hag's saying they can piss off in January because they've had a setback. They're not in the team. Wan-Bissaka's had a setback. He can't get in the United team. And instead of, you know, responding and working really hard and impressing in training and getting a chance and taking his chance, he's crumbled. He's not happy. He wants to go. So Ten Hag's like, fine, Wan-Bissaka can go. But Luke Shaw got kicked out of the team for Malacia. And Luke Shaw's response was, I'm going to work even harder. I'm going to get my place back at Manchester United. And Luke Shaw worked incredibly hard, now played well at the Euros, got his place back at United. Ten Hag's very much like, he wants to use this season to judge characters. If Ten Hag doesn't like your character, you're gone. Not only, you know, has Ten Hag won the dressing room, but Ten Hag's trying to build a dressing room with good characters. And that's something I like about Ten Hag. He's saying, it's about getting the right players in. The mentality of all the players we brought in is brilliant. It's about, you know, you can have good players, but it's the right attitude. You know, Dele Alli was fantastic at 18, but did he have the right attitude? No, he's sitting on the bench in Turkey. You know, it's all about attitude at the end of the day. If you have the attitude and you have the skill, you can create a team. And that's something Ten Hag's trying to do. And that's one of the reasons I do really, really like Ten Hag. And we do need to clear out, and we will be talking about Ten Hag's clear out plan in a second. And the United I knew would be too afraid to control the club. There's never been player power at United until now. Thank God Ten Hag is changing their dynamic now. Just play and obey Ten Hag. Exactly. What I wanted to talk about is Ten Hag is really, really changing the dynamic at Manchester United. There's no more player power. There's no more players ruling the roost. It is Ten Hag's created mentality change. Ten Hag rules the roost, and everyone sitting here respects Ten Hag and knows that, you know, it's what Ten Hag says. It's what Ten Hag says. So anyway, I've just waffled for like 10 minutes about Ten Hag, and I do want to get into the news, so I do apologise. But it was said just in, this links to what we were talking about and what we spoke about earlier, that Manchester United are not considering to pull De Gea's clause to expend for one more year. Ten Hag's open to a new number one, but the player wants to stay. So the news coming in today, and Plettigol is a good source. Florian Plettigol is a really good source. Full Moon by Central Devils means tier 1. The news coming in today is that Manchester United want a new goalkeeper. Paula says De Gea should stay number 1 until we're ready to leave, but get a good backup when De Gea leaves. Don't flipping know what they did with Herrera. The Herrera thing's absolutely awful. And look, culture change 100% needed. Smash the like if you agree. And think Ronaldo should have stayed until the end of the season to see if ended up in top 5, not leave. I think he's jumped the gun. We'll see where Ronaldo ends up. I think if Ronaldo ends up in the Saudi League, then it's been a silly move for him. But it is what it is. De Gea wants to stay at United. De Gea doesn't want to leave United. De Gea loves Manchester United. He's playing well. He wants to stay. He doesn't want to leave. Erik Ten Hag has told United not to pull the year extension in De Gea's clause. So because obviously January is coming around, and as soon as January happens, teams can negotiate. So we've got Ronaldo, who was on a 1-year contract, but he's gone. We've got Luke Shaw that's on a 1-year contract. We've got David De Gea that's on a 1-year contract. We've got Fred that's on a 1-year contract. We've got Marcus Rashford that's on a 1-year contract. We've got Diego Dalot that's on a 1-year contract. And we've got Heaton that's on a 1-year contract. We've got 6 players currently on a 1-year contract to United. And in less than 2 weeks, all 6 of those players can negotiate to join another club on a free as soon as January starts. So this is why right now there's a lot of news coming out about the future of De Gea, Rashford, Dalot, Fred, blah, 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 blah. Man United are going to trigger the extension on Rashford and Dalot's contract, so they cannot negotiate to leave on a free in the summer. That is facts. Ten Hag wants Rashford, Ten Hag wants Fred. Luke Shaw, Man United are not sure yet. Ten Hag's not sure on Luke Shaw. He's thinking of a 1-year extension, but he's got to prove it. Fred, Man United aren't looking to extend his contract. De Gea, as things stand, United aren't looking to exchange his contract, which means as of January, if this becomes the case, Fred can negotiate to leave on a free in summer. De Gea can negotiate to leave on a free in summer. That's 2 massive losses on a free in summer for United. And Ten Hag is saying to the board, and we reported this a month ago, or 2 months ago even, this was before the World Cup, that Ten Hag has told the board not to give out any new contracts without his permission. He wants to create a culture where new contracts are hard to come by. And, the board would be giving out a contract to Fred and De Gea right now because they wouldn't want to lose them, especially for a free, because they wouldn't get any money for them. But Ten Hag is stopping this because Ten Hag's changing the culture. Yes, De Gea wants to stay. Yes, De Gea is a great player. But Ten Hag is like, I want a new number 1. Now, I could see De Gea staying for another year and maybe United getting a new goalkeeper next summer instead of this summer coming, because I think we need a midfielder, a right back, and so many other positions. But the fact that United aren't swooping and pulling in De Gea and Fred's new contract and Luke Shaw's new contract now shows that Ten Hag has a say and Ten Hag has some power. And that Ten Hag is when Ten Hag took the United job, we spoke about this before on the channel. Remember, we spoke about this. Ten Hag said to the United board when he was offered the job, he will only accept it on 3 conditions. And this is apparently why Man United wanted to give the job to Ten Hag. When they offered him the job, Ten Hag wasn't begging for the job. He said, I want the job, but I only want the job on 3 conditions. And Ten Hag said to the board, the first condition is he's allowed to work closely with the youth academy. The second condition is that they only buy and sell players that he wants to buy and sell and they come to him first. And the third condition was he has the final say in new contracts. Under Ollie, they were handing out a new contract to Phil Jones and Bailly that weren't playing under Ollie, and not handing out a new contract to Herrera, who was playing and was playing well. Erik Ten Hag changed it of, you want to give De Gea a new contract, you want to give Fred a new contract, you want to give Luke Shaw a new contract, you can't. They wanted to give Rashford and Dalot a new contract in September, and Ten Hag said they've only been playing well for 3 games. Wait until December. We haven't got to rush. There's a 1-year extension. They're now putting that 1-year extension on Dalot and Rashford. And the reason Ten Hag is doing this, and the reason Ten Hag is telling the United board to do this, is he's saying to the United board, I want to make this hard for the players. I don't want to give them a new contract of 3 or 4 good games. I want Rashford this season to prove to me he deserves that new contract. Dalot to prove to me he deserves that new contract. So that's what Ten Hag's doing. Rather than rushing giving that new contract in September, October, he's like, prove it to me. Prove it to me that you deserve that new contract all season. Perform well for a season. You're not going to get contract of playing well for 3 or 4 games. You've got to perform well to a season. Because the overriding message of the situation is 6 players could leave on a free. Only 2 or 3 get their contract renewed. Because the overall message to the United players is there's standards now under Ten Hag. There's standards now under Erik Ten Hag, and there's going to be high standards at Manchester United. And I think this club, and I think we can all agree on this club has fallen. The standards of this club have massively fallen in the last few years, and it's not been good enough. This is Manchester United. This is, the biggest club in the world. This is, my club. This is the club that used to win 2-3 league titles in a row. This is the biggest club in England, and we let the standards fall. And Ten Hag is very much like the standards at this club can no longer fall. And that is one of the reasons I absolutely love Ten Hag. Who's winning the World Cup, Varane or Martinez? I think Martinez is going to win it. I think Argentina are going to win it as well. Someone says Anthony has a shit attitude. Not sure why you think that. Anthony just loves football. You can tell he's passionate as well. Why are we talking about Herrera passing news is pointless? Because it links in with the De Gea news as well. That's what I'm saying. And David is replaceable, a little bit slow on his feet. This is why he wants David De Gea to go. Because as good as David De Gea has been this season, as much as I like De Gea, Ten Hag wants a goalkeeper that's good with his feet. Ten Hag wants a very, very mobile keeper that is good with his feet. He's a good ball playing, good on the ball as well. He wants more of an Ederson type of player because, unfortunately, football is modernising to a sense of all the best teams play with a different style of goalkeeper. David De Gea was the best goalkeeper in the world 5 years ago, but in the modern game, you want someone more like Alisson, and that's what Ten Hag wants, and that's why Ten Hag wants David De Gea gone. And as much as I like David De Gea, as much as I'd love David De Gea to stay, that is the reason Ten Hag wants David De Gea gone. Gakpo or centre-back, Gakpo, because we've got Martinez and Varane. as well. And exactly, Ten Hag knows what he's doing. He's sorting out the club, he's organising it. And Steve says Ten Hag needs time to get his own players like Potter at Chelsea. Look what Arteta did. This will motivate Ten Hag more. I know, and I hate saying this because I hate giving Arsenal credit. But Arteta, in his first 2 seasons at Arsenal, he came 8th. He didn't play that much of attacking football because he realised as much as he wanted to play attacking football, he had to play defensive football because he didn't have the players to play the football he wanted. And as Arteta slowly got the players in, you saw last season when Arsenal finished 5th, that their style of play was slowly moving. Arsenal was slowly starting to play a bit better. And this season, Arteta's got most of the players he wants in, and he's playing a certain way. Erik Ten Hag got 4 or 5 players that he wanted in the summer. And we can see that Erik Ten Hag is playing a little bit how he wants to play. It's a bit more defensive. There's certain things we can't do because we're missing that Frankie de Jong-like profile. We're missing the Diogo Costa-like profile in goal. But we can see aspects of how Ten Hag wants to play. Attacking good football. But once Ten Hag gets those players in, he's going to be another level. You look at Arteta. First season came 8th because he didn't have the players in. Second season came 5th and really showed what he wanted to do. Is now top of the league. This is Ten Hag's season where he might even get 4th. I'll say this again. This is Ten Hag's opening season where I said we will finish 7th. I said I love Ten Hag, he's the best manager, but this squad needs a massive overhaul. I said 7th. 7th or 6th, realistic for United. No. We could be getting top 4 this season. You know, I know we spent a lot of money in the summer, but realistically, Ten Hag is working with a lot of players he doesn't want. He was working with the players that were so horrific last season, they didn't even run. They let down Ole and they were full of leaks. He's absolutely changed the mentality of this club. He's completely changed the personality in and around the dressing room, which is fantastic. And you have to give Ten Hag a lot of plaudit for that. I'm so glad he's done that. But Ten Hag is slowly changing the club on and off the pitch, and you can see what Ten Hag is doing. No team has had a harder fixture list than United. United are the only team to play everyone in the top 6. United are the only team to play everyone in the top 12 so far this season. They've had the hardest run of fixtures, and the first 2 games, in my opinion, they don't even count because we weren't ready, we weren't warmed up. Since Casemiro's come on the team, we've lost 1 game. 1 game, people. And some of the games we drew, we could have won. Right now, if United win their next game, they're in 4th because they've got a game in hand. That we are in a good position, and to think how we started the season, to think of the shit show that happened last season, and to think that this is a new manager in his first season, Erik Ten Hag could get top 4. Now, I think for him to get top 4, there has to be investment in January, and we will get into the Vlahovic news, and we will get into, you know, the potential investment in January coming Manchester United's way. But Erik Ten Hag has done an absolutely fantastic job, and 100% buy into Erik Ten Hag, and I 100% believe he's the guy to be the manager because he's slowly implementing good football. And like Mikel Arteta, he might need time. He might need players, as is being said. But I'm confident if we gave Ten Hag the players he wants, he will take us to the top, like Pep, like Klopp. And this is why new owners are so important. I'm convinced Ten Hag is the manager, and I will stay with that because I can see what he's trying to do. Like I could with Arteta, I can see what he's trying to build. I can see how he's changed the mentality, and I can see how the players are behind him. And as Marcus Rashford has come out and said publicly, as Bruno Fernandes has come out and said publicly, it's a positive environment at United now where people want to be it. It's happy to train. There's discipline. There's no favouritism. It's a positive environment. Ten Hag's changed the environment. So I say this, get some good new owners in, get rid of that board, someone that backs Ten Hag, and I believe that Man United can get back to where they deserve to be because we deserve to be at the top. And it's all about, you know, giving Ten Hag time and the players he wants. And I think, you know, give him that goalkeeper, give him that midfielder, give him that striker, give him Gakpo, and let's have a look at what Ten Hag can do because he is a fantastic manager as well. And, you know, I think we will get Gakpo, and I will dive into the Gakpo news in a minute. But Ten Hag is not letting the standards fall. You know, hopefully we win a trophy this season. I'm not that confident we'll beat Burnley. And the reason I'm not that confident we'll beat Burnley is because Burnley have played quite a few games already before us because the championship resumed quicker. They're a bit more sharp. They're a bit more on it. They'll probably play their strongest lineup. We're going to be missing Martinez, Varane and a few key players. I'm not super confident we'll beat Burnley on Wednesday. I will talk about the Burnley game in a second. But going back to Ten Hag, he's massively raised the standards at Manchester United. David says, I have a worry about PSG signing Rashford if they sold Mbappe. Mbappe reportedly wants to leave PSG, but it's a bit on and off with the Mbappe situation. And people will laugh, but generally Rashford's a very appropriate solution for Mbappe. Now people will laugh, Rashford and Mbappe. No, what I mean is Rashford's a left winger that can play striker like Mbappe. Very reliant on pacing in behind, like Mbappe, gets goals and assists like Mbappe. Is Rashford as good as Mbappe? No. Is Rashford the level of Mbappe? No, he's not. But what I'm saying is, if you're PSG, who've had an eye on Rashford for years, you've been flirting with Rashford for years, and Mbappe leaves, Who do you get to replace Mbappe? Because no one can replace Mbappe. Name me a player out there that you go, this guy can replace Mbappe. No one. Who have PSG been linked with the most? Bloody Marcus Rashford. Who would you use to replace Mbappe? Rashford. And you make a good point. Now, I think Rashford will put pen to paper at Man United. But the thing with Rashford is Ten Hag likes him. I think Rashford would be silly to leave because I think there's a project for Ten Hag, a manager that likes him. He's getting his form back. And, the French league is shit. The French league is fucking shit. But Man United aren't winning stuff. Maybe he'll want to go in the French league and play in the Champions League. The problem with PSG is they're thinking of offering Rashford a 700, 800k a week contract. Man United couldn't dare give Rashford that much. It would be a joke. Sancho's on 350k a week. De Gea's on, 400, 500k a week? Ronaldo's on 500k a week. The wages we give players are ridiculous. The problem with PSG is they're happy to go get Rashford 500, 600k a week. And that might be a problem. I don't know if that report was maybe from Rashford's agent to get Rashford a better deal at United and pretend that PSG would offer him that much. I don't know. Could all be PR spin. Could all be games. But we should watch out on Rashford to PSG because I think he will stay. I think he loves United. But PSG would go for Rashford if Mbappe left, 100%. Because realistically, they're not going to get Vinicius Jr., who'd probably be their closest. They've already got Neymar, they've already got Messi. Who's the winger you go for? Probably Rashford in terms of the pace and the profile in behind him. And people will laugh at that, but it's true. Erik Ten Hag's another Fergie. I think we can finish fourth if they work hard and listen to the manager and follow his instructions. I exactly agree. Erik Ten Hag is the most confident I've been in a manager since Fergie because I can see the players buying into it. And I think, for me, we need Gakpo, and I want to touch upon this, as Michael Jones has said. Gakpo is needed. I'm just going to take a quick swig of water, and I will get into the Gakpo news. Actually, there's a big story on Gakpo and Vlahovic that I want to get into. But my point is, let me show you the Premier League table. So let me get Manchester United up. I'm going to show you my point. So if we look at the table, here's Manchester United in fifth. Okay, with a game in hand over Newcastle and Tottenham, and bear in mind, Newcastle should be on 1 less point and we should be on 2 less points. We should be on 28 points and they should be on 29 points because, my God, they were jamming to get a draw out of us. And then if we won our game in hand, we would have been bish, bash, bosh, 1 point behind Man City. But never mind. We're 6 points behind Man City. 6 points. Considering we got battered first 2 games of the season, we are 6 points behind Man City and 10 points behind Arsenal. So we're not in that bad of a position. We're also 4 points ahead of Liverpool. But we've got a game in hand over Newcastle and Tottenham, which would take us into 4th place if we win that game in hand, which is against Crystal Palace, which is a very difficult game. Do not underestimate Crystal Palace. This would take us into the top 4 if we win our game in hand. You've got to think, we've played Arsenal, we've played City, we've played Liverpool, we've played Tottenham, we've played Newcastle, we've played Brighton, we've played Chelsea, we've played Fulham, we've played Brentford, we haven't played Palace. We're the only team that's played everyone in the top 10. We've also played 12th, 13th, as well. We've had the hardest fixture list. The first 2 games of the season were practically a write-off because we got battered. We've had a lot of issues, and we've, also bring this in mind. Martial's been injured. We've had this whole season with Ronaldo not wanting to be here, Martial being injured, basically being thin on players, thin in depth. Lost the first 2 games of the season. Played everyone in the top 6. Had the hardest run of everyone in the Premier League, and we are sitting there 3 points off 4th with a game in hand. And if you look at the beginning of the season, we all predicted 6-7. Get Erik Ten Hag a player in January. I think get him in a right back and a forward in January. I think he's more than capable of getting top 4. I said this last season as well. You know what? This time a year ago, top 4 was possible for United. And what did I say? I will actually, you can go back and look for it. Oh, what's gone in here? Oh, I've shared the screen too big. But what's gone on here, okay? As you can see, Manchester United, 26 points. But my thing's glitched. There we go. Sorry, my thing just completely glitched on the screen there. I don't know if it glitched for you, but I was trying to zoom in and show you guys here. We're in 5th place. Hardest fixture list coming up, okay? And I forgot what I was talking about. Yes, this is what I was going to say. Sorry, I had my screen glitched and I completely forgot what I was going to say. This time last year, end of December last year, I said this. I said Man U, Arsenal, and Tottenham could all get top 4. There was only 4 points between them. I said, even though this time last year United had a rocky start to the season, I said we're still capable of getting top 4. So is Tottenham, so is Arsenal. Now everyone thought Arsenal were going to get top 4. What happened in January of 2022, people? Arsenal didn't invest. Man United didn't invest, but Tottenham did. And who got top 4 last season? Man U, Tottenham, or Arsenal? Tottenham. If Liverpool don't invest, if Tottenham don't invest, and Man United invest, who's going to get top 4? Man U, Tottenham, Liverpool. I think Man United. And I said this last year. Arsenal didn't invest. They missed out on top 4 to Tottenham, who got Kulusevski and Bentancur in. We didn't invest, and we just went down the shit drain. Tottenham got top 4 because they invested in January. And this goes into my point about Gakpo and why Gakpo is important, because we should invest in January. If we invest in January, I think top 4 is on a plate for us. I really do. If we invest in Liverpool don't and Tottenham don't. Because that's how Tottenham got top 4 last January. Because Tottenham, no one thought Tottenham were going to get top 4, and they went and got Kulusevski, that was brilliant, and Bentancur. Gakpo could come and have that Kulusevski impact, and Man United go into 4th. Bish bash fucking bosh. Because I tell you what, last January we could have got Vlahovic. We could have got Diaz. We could have got Julian Alvarez. We could have got a lot of people that Rangnick suggested, and the board went no. Now look at it. Julian Alvarez, we'd kill for him now. Vlahovic, we'd kill for him now. Diaz, we'd kill for him now. Now, obviously, we didn't buy anyone in January. And all 3 of those players would have been brilliant for United. This is why this January we can't afford to not sign someone. 1, because we've lost Ronaldo, and even when we had Ronaldo, we needed an attacker, and it's very obvious we need an attacker now. But 2, because Ten Hag is capable of getting top 4 this season when we didn't think he could. And getting top 4 means the chances of De Jong and certain summer signings are higher. The chances of having a higher budget are higher, but also the chances of Man United being worth more is higher. So for me, if we don't even invest in Gakpo, it's ridiculous. I want to scroll down and look at some of the live chats because I'm a little bit behind. Rashford's not a striker, I agree, but the situation is if Martial's injured, Rashford's playing striker as well. For January, Gakpo and a young right back, maybe Malagusco will be enough. Yeah, realistically, Gakpo and a young right back. Realistically, at least an attacker. Worst comes to worst is Ethan Laird on loan. I still think we need a right back in because Wan-Bissaka's going to go. But realistically, United need to get Cody Gakpo in January. I know we can't bring in Oshmeen and 5 brilliant signings, but Cody Gakpo, £43 million, get it done. Because we need an attacker. We need someone that can get goals and assists. And what can Cody Gakpo provenly do? Get goals and assists. United have been quite good defensively, but where have we been lacking in the goals and assists part? I've seen rumours of Sancho going to Dortmund on loan with Mukayoko coming to Manchester United. I've seen these rumours as well, actually. I do want to touch upon them, Nick. I don't think Jadon Sancho is going anywhere. Unless Jadon Sancho wants to move and is unhappy, then Ten Hag would let him move because Ten Hag wouldn't want anyone unhappy at Manchester United. I've seen the rumours of Jadon Sancho going to Dortmund on loan. I don't think he will be going anywhere. And the reason I don't think Sancho will be going anywhere is because of the way Ten Hag spoke about Sancho, it's clearly in his plans. He said there's a good player in Sancho. He just needs to be physically and mentally there. The way Ten Hag, if Ten Hag doesn't want a player or if a player's misbehaving, Ten Hag is very clear. Ten Hag makes it very clear. No, Garnacho was turning up late. Ronaldo's not been acting professional, calling him out. Ten Hag calls out players. I think that Sancho won't go anywhere. We'll get the story up, actually. I did a video on it. Sancho loan. Oh, no, it's not coming up. Sancho. I'll see if I can find the story here. But, the problem is, this was the story. Jadon Sancho will not move to Chelsea, but a Bundesliga loan is on the cards. Now, I don't think this will happen. It's not come out from the most reliable source in the world. But if he's really unhappy at United, and I think the one thing is that he's deleted the tagged Man United pictures, but not the tagged Dortmund pictures. And I think that's the one scary thing because is he unhappy at United? I don't think that he's unhappy and wants to leave Man United. I just think that he's probably not happy in general. But again, I would be shocked if Sancho left as well. Would you swap Jadon for Jude? Probably, but I love Jadon. It's a difficult one as well. It's a difficult one. But I honestly, and I've said this a million times, Jadon Sancho, he's going to be out for a couple of weeks, focusing on himself, getting back mentally and physically. There is a top player in Jadon Sancho. I feel like people forget, and I think because he's in the Bundesliga, people forget how good Sancho was 2 seasons ago, how good he was consistently in 3 seasons at Dortmund. Yes, it's the Bundesliga. Yes, it's not the same league. But to get to that level, there's got to be a player in Sancho. We saw a little bit of it in pre-season. We saw glances of under Carrick and Rangnick. We know, and I know, there is, honestly, guys, I will say this now, there is a world-class player in Jadon Sancho. He's been disappointing. We've not seen it. We've seen moments of it. He's not confident and he's not happy. And if he's confident and if he's happy, I believe we'll see the same impact that Rashford's had. Rashford, I always said I've never called him Trashford. Never ever. Even when he was awful last season and after the Villa game, I had to go in on Rashford and go, you weren't running for United, you weren't tracking back, you weren't following the second ball. I had to go in on Rashford. I'd never called him Trashford because I knew what Rashford could do when in form and confident. And Sancho, when in form and confident, has been even better than Rashford for Dortmund and that. There is, and I will say this now, Jadon Sancho 2 years ago, people were thinking Ballon d'Or winner. People were thinking he's going to be in that Mbappe Haaland debate, but he didn't reach that level, and that is Man United's fault. That is partly Man United's fault. And the reason I say that is he's come to United under Ollie, who didn't use him. Ollie just brought him because he was good and didn't have a plan for him, and he wasn't an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer kind of player. He's been completely misprofiled. He reminds me of Pogba Sancho, completely misprofiled, played out of position, had to play under 4 managers. You join a new club after suffering a horrible summer and racist abuse and not in your best place ever. You work under 4 different managers, they're constantly changing ideas, and you're in a toxic dressing room after, changing country and moving clubs. It's not easy for Sancho. Issues going on with his family, not easy for Sancho. Bullying and Twitter abuse that he's not in the World Cup, not easy for Sancho. He deletes social media. He's working with Ten Hag, the manager that is very capable of getting him back to his best. He's focusing on football. He's focusing on football. If he can get his confidence back and he can be happy on the pitch, Jadon Sancho could be another level. Like, I'm talking better than Antony, better than Rashford, better than Garnacho's potential. Because Jadon Sancho 2 years ago was a player that we all sat here and went, this could be England's best player. They're now saying Foden is. But Sancho could be that guy. He's like the Bellingham of 2 years ago. You know how we're talking about Bellingham right now? That was Sancho. And he's come to United and it's gone boom. But I do believe that, he can redeem himself in 2023 because I think people forget like how good he can be, and there's a good player in there. I love Jadon. He's young and talented, and he's one of the highest earners at the club. Has to turn up. True, the money he's on, he has to turn up. He is very talented, and he is very young. He's 22, so I think people writing off too early as well. Happy Ten Hag hasn't given up on Jadon. I believe he can still be a solid player for the club. Exactly. I believe Jadon Sancho can still do a solid job for United. He's honestly. He has to perform, though. He has to step it up. There's something going on, though, and I wouldn't write him off early. If Gakpo should not join Man United, then Bellingham should also not join Liverpool. Van Dijk should have been told that. I tell you what, Van Dijk whispering that Gakpo should join United. Do you know what's coming out? So Man United and Liverpool in for Gakpo, yeah. Man United and Liverpool both in for Gakpo. Reportedly, Gakpo would rather go to United than Liverpool because he wants to work with Ten Hag. So fuck on that, Liverpool. I mean, that's reportedly, but I think it was from the Telegraph or someone, that Gakpo's preferred destination seems to be United. So at the end of the day, suck on that, Liverpool. You know what? Suck on that. We're going to go back onto some news, guys. We're going to get back into some stories as well. We will get the Gakpo news up actually. I don't want to talk about Gakpo too much because I spoke about it in my video yesterday, but I'll talk about the news that came out this morning. But this was obviously the big report on Gakpo. Reports state Man United will bid for Gakpo in January as Ten Hag pushes for Ronaldo replacement. It was said that Manchester United are reportedly planning a €50 million, which is 43 million bid to sign PSV star Cody Gakpo. And Gakpo has obviously got 13 goals and 17 assists. That's 30 goal contributions in 24 games, which is, guys, that is absolutely insane. But I want to talk about the other player at Manchester United I've been linked to, a player that we've been linked to in January, actually. And I think, it's not a tier 1 source, it's a tier 2 source. So it's not someone that makes up things, but it's not a Fabrizio Romano of reliability. But I want to get into a story on Vlahovic. Now, I think this is something that could happen in summer. I believe this is a deal that could definitely happen in summer. But this is talking about Vlahovic in January to Manchester United. This was a news story that I should have got into about half an hour ago, but we move. It was said that Manchester United are going to make a serious attempt to sign Juventus striker Dusan Vlahovic in the January transfer window. No, I think we'd like to sign him in January. I don't think we have the funds to sign him in January. I think this would be a summer thing with new owners coming in. But it was said as well from Ben Jacobs that he was told there's a real possibility of Vlahovic leaving Juventus in 2023, with a January exit not being ruled out by those close to him. And several top European clubs are in touch with his agent, including Chelsea, although nothing is particularly advanced at this point. And that Manchester United are going to make a serious attempt to sign Dusan Vlahovic in the January window. Again, take this with a pinch of salt, not an awful source of information. Ten Hag wants the player. Ten Hag wants Vlahovic. He is the type of player Man United want. If he was available in January for the right price, 100% Man United would get him. But is he available in January for the right price? Probably not. Probably is the right price that he's worth 70 million, but do United have 70 million in January? No. This, for me, is one for the summer. I think Chelsea will also be interested. Other clubs will also be interested. This, for me, is one for the summer. But, I think it could happen in January. I would never rule it out. I would be surprised. I think we are all in for Gakpo. If Gakpo goes wrong, I think we'll make a João Felix loan offer to see if there's any way we can get him on loan, which I think João Felix loan very possible because Atletico's owner said he has to go. And I don't think anyone in January is going to swoop up the money Atletico wants. So I think he'll have to go on loan. And if all else fails, I think they would go for Goncalo Ramos. If that failed, I think they would go and get a pile on cheap. That's what I think would happen. But keep an eye on it. I mean, best case scenario is we sign Vlahovic and Gakpo, but that would cost us over 100 million. And realistically, we all know that that's not going to happen. 100%. Please do smash the like button, people, if you have not already. Let's hit 300 likes. So if everyone, we've got over 300 people watching. So if you've not hit that like button, please do. I've got a few more stories I want to dive into as well regarding the news, regarding De Gea, regarding Wan-Bissaka, regarding potential ins and outs at Manchester United. There's a few stories I want to dive into. Manchester United reportedly looking at about 50 different right backs, and obviously we've been linked to Celtic right back Josip Junorovic. We've been linked to, haven't said that right, FC Freiburg right back Kylian Sedilla. We've been linked to every right back under the sun. So Wan-Bissaka could be going to Wolves, could be going to Fulham, could be going to West Ham, could be going to Palace, could be going to every club under the sun right now is linked to Wan-Bissaka. And there's a lot of news around United signing a right back. However, I think we're just getting linked to right backs just for the sake of it. So I won't get too much into that. But 103 likes, so please do hit the like button. Sancho's situation is 100% fitness related. It's a mental strain to go to the next wall. I think there's maybe some issues with family, but I think the mental issues are probably affecting the physicality of him as well. I knew I pronounced it wrong, but we're not good at pronunciation. We try, but my thought process is we pronounce it wrong because we don't play FIFA. We don't know how to pronounce players. But once we sign the player, we learn how to pronounce them. Apart from McTominay, because I always pronounce that wrong because it's a habit now. But I actually do learn the names apart from McTominay. But yeah. I have no sentiments. If a player doesn't want to get their head down, they can leave. Who cares? Honestly, this is what I like. This is the attitude I like, and this is what Ten Hag is doing at United. Wan-Bissaka, is basically told he can go. Ten Hag is very much like, if Wan-Bissaka wants to go, I'll just recall Ethan Laird or get a right back in, because Ten Hag doesn't like Wan-Bissaka, because Ten Hag's reportedly not been impressed by Wan-Bissaka's attitude. Luke Shaw got benched by Malacia for a little bit. And Luke Shaw worked really hard and fought for his place. Didn't stop. Maguire got benched by Lisandro Martinez and Varane, was benched for a long time. But still worked hard in training, didn't swap. Didn't make a fuss. Donny van der Bench has been on the bench again under Ten Hag and doesn't stop. Fred's been benched and doesn't stop. Wan-Bissaka's been benched fairly. He's had some injury issues, but he's not been interested in getting his place back, and seems moody, unhappy in training, and doesn't want to fight for his place back. That is why Ten Hag's happy for Wan-Bissaka to go, because Wan-Bissaka doesn't want to be here. Ten Hag didn't want certain players to go in January because he knows he's fit. Ten Hag's very much like, would he have liked to keep Wan-Bissaka as backup for Dello? Yes, but he knows Wan-Bissaka wants to go, and Ten Hag's mindset is, I don't give a fuck who you are. If you don't want to be at Man United, you can piss off. So if Jadon Sancho went around to Ten Hag and said, I don't want to be at United, he would let Jadon Sancho go. He 100% would. But that's why Wan-Bissaka is likely to go, because Wan-Bissaka doesn't want to be here. That's why Dean Henderson went right at the beginning, because he didn't want to be here. That's why Bailly went, because he didn't want to be here. That's why Tellez went, because he was told he wasn't going to play. So he was like, well, I might as well go. And he was like, yeah, fairs. If any player doesn't want to be at United, they leave. Martial didn't want to be at United. Then saw Ten Hag come in, then had a conversation with Ten Hag, and then said, actually, I want to stay and be part of this project. And Ten Hag's grown into Martial. Rashford was thinking of leaving United. Ten Hag came in, wants to be here. Dello wanted to leave United before Rakitic came in. He was unhappy, wants to be here. Ten Hag, when he came to United, had a chat with every single player and said, who wants to be here or not? And Wan-Bissaka reportedly wasn't that bothered, wasn't that happy, wasn't that bothered. You know, we know there's been a few controversies with Wan-Bissaka and falling out with teammates, but again, they're all reports, you know, all dressing room leaks. No one knows what's true or not. But Ten Hag's attitude is, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're a player and you don't want to be here, you go. Ronaldo, biggest player in the world, made it clear on TV, you didn't want to be here, contract terminated. Wan-Bissaka doesn't want to be here. All right, go out. Like, I need a right back, but I'll let you leave. You don't want to be here. Because Ten Hag knows the worst thing you can do as a manager is force players to stay that don't want to stay. One of the reasons we've had such bad dressing room problems in the past is because we have unhappy players that don't want to be here. And then they impact the other players because it's obvious they don't want to be here and they cause problems. That's one of the things we've had. Keeping players here that don't want to be here, not letting them leave, giving out new contracts to players that aren't good enough is one of the main reasons behind a lot of issues we've had at Manchester United. You know, if a player doesn't want to be here, they cause issues. And that's what United done in the past. And that's one of the things, again, Ten Hag wants to change. If you don't want to be at Manchester United, Ten Hag's like, all right, you can go. You can go. Keep hitting the like button, people. Let's go for 300 likes, 350 people watching. Please do smash the like button if you haven't already. United is a toxic place, yes, but Sancho has to take accountability. I wouldn't say he's overweight, but I think, United is toxic, but players need to make sure they work hard as well. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of the chat, people, as well. Paula says, I've never been convinced about Sancho yet. Spent 2 seasons to buy him for over the odds, wages and buying costs, still not proved it. I think Sancho will prove that he's absolutely worth the money, but I think Sancho's got a lot to prove, and I think Sancho's working hard to do that as well. The proof that Rashford is good is that he can go and play anywhere, every team. They would take him, including City. Exactly, which is why PSG want Rashford. Rashford for England is good. Rashford United is good. Rashford's one of those players. He will be good, and that's why PSG want him as well. Keep smashing the likes. 50 million for Wan-Bissaka. What idiot sanctions that? You know what I was thinking this today. I don't know who in their right mind sits there and goes, 80 million for Harry Maguire, who's at Leicester, 50 million for Wan-Bissaka, who's at Palace, 100 million for Anthony, who's at Ajax. Who in their right mind sits there and thinks that's a normal price to pay? It's not. And we have only got ourselves to blame. Now, I understand we've got Anthony because that's who Ten Hag wanted and very clear that he wanted Anthony. And we could have got Anthony for a lot cheaper if the board actually didn't mess it up. But the fact that Manchester United sit there and actually just contemplate and go, right, Anthony, should we get him? This player, should we get him? This player, should we get him? This player, should we get him? 50 million for Wan-Bissaka. To this day, it just makes no sense. Sancho's problem isn't only mental. He's not aggressive around the box, doesn't shoot, doesn't take risks, and he loves not to lose the ball. I think he has midfield quality than attacking. I think that's a confidence issue with Sancho. I think, and I will say this again, I think that is a massive, massive confidence issue with Jadon Sancho. He's not getting the ball and shooting and taking on his man, but he used to do that. He used to do that, and he's done that in pre-season where he was taking on men. I think because Sancho's lost confidence, he's not doing that. And one of the things I said on my channel, and I said this last month before the World Cup, is when we were praising Garnacho, because Garnacho was absolutely fantastic for Manchester United. But what did I say, guys? I said Garnacho comes off the pitch, and Garnacho comes on the pitch. He's new, and he's never played before, and he's not afraid to take on his man. He's not afraid to lose the ball. He's not afraid to shoot. And that's what you need. Garnacho came and brought everything I've been begging for Sancho to do on the left. Sancho would get the ball, take a few touches, pass sideways. He wouldn't lose the ball, but he wouldn't do anything with the ball. And Garnacho, whether he loses the ball 2-3 times a game, when he gets the ball, he's so direct. Garnacho's looking to take on players. He's looking to get out from into the box. Garnacho's looking to do loads. He's so direct on the ball. And I absolutely love Garnacho for that. And I was like, that's what we need from Sancho. And that's what Sancho used to do. And I think a bit of it is confidence. But Garnacho is doing what we want Sancho to do. Take on your man. Sancho has the ball, and I think just run at them. Just take them on. Take that shot. Take that pass, and he's not. And it's confidence with Sancho. It's 100% confidence. And I think Sancho has the qualities to be a number 10. I think he would be better on the right than the left. I don't think he has the pace to be electric on the left. I think on the right, he doesn't have to think as much. Like on the left, it's taking on your man and cutting in where pace is more important. On the right, it's that first-time ball, that crossing where he's more creative, more midfield-esque. I think Sancho will be better on the right. I think he'll be better as a 10. But I think one of the reasons he's not doing that is because of lack of confidence. You know, we see Garnacho doing everything we want Sancho to do. And I mean, Garnacho has been absolutely fantastic, isn't he? Garnacho's explosive. Sancho isn't. That's why. Yeah, Sancho is less explosive than Garnacho. But Sancho, if you look at Sancho at Dortmund, he used to take on his man. He used to do stuff. Maguire 80 million, will be lucky to get 25 million or something. I still, to this day, do not know what made us want to spend 80 million on Maguire to this day. 100% overinflated British players as well. Every player needs a run of games to prove their self. If they don't get it, they will look crap. Exactly. And this is why I do feel a bit bad for Donny, because he hasn't played properly in like 3 years and he gets dropped in here and there, and like the whole team will play crap. So how can you expect Donny to do well when everyone around him's crap? You know, I feel like Donny, again, I still don't think Donny's had a fair chance. I think whenever Donny's played, the Man United team's not looked on it. The United team's not looked ready. The United team's not looked warmed up. And Donny's not looked great when he's played. I want to see Donny get a run of games in that deeper role where Eriksen plays. I really do. I still think to this day, and I won't give up on Donny, I still think there's a good player in Donny van de Beek. I'm just convinced of it. I just think, you know, he was so good at Ajax and just one of those players that Man United get and they're like, But I think with Sancho, with Donny, give them a run of games, build some confidence. 100% as well. I'm going to get into some more news as well. This was obviously the news on Mukiyoko. Manchester United ready to rival Chelsea for the prolific German international. And this was said, obviously, on Mukiyoko, who obviously been very, very good at Dortmund. And we know that United are interested in him. He could be quite cheap as well. And now we know that United want a striker. This Mukiyoko is one of the best young strikers out there. 100% one of the best young strikers out there. And I wouldn't blame United in the slightest for going on him, especially because of his contract expiring. He's going to be cheap. Will he choose United? I'm not sure. But United and Chelsea seem to be the two clubs leading the race for him. And I think that he would be a fantastic signing. However, saying that, United need a striker that can come and play now. Mukiyoko would be fantastic, but he's not someone that can come and play right now. He's not. Like, he's 18, he can play here and there, he'll be like Garnacho. But still, to me, this would be a great signing. I think that it's a possible signing. It's actually a possible deal to do in January, but I don't see it happening in January. But I still think we need an out-and-out striker. But United and Chelsea are the two teams in for Mukiyoko, who is he's meant to be the next big thing. I think he got like 100 goals in 60 academy games or something. Like, this guy is like one of the next big things. He's been in the Dortmund academy a while. And I'd love to see him at United as well. Keep smashing the likes, people, as well. Donny's a La Liga player, not Premier League. I do agree with that. I think La Liga would be good for Donny. I think he's more technical, and I 100% agree with that as well. And Sancho is actually a skilled player, has a good nutmeg in him, can create space, link up players, good qualities without a doubt. And this is what we want to see from Sancho. Sancho has the ability, when informed, to take on defenders, 100%. This is what I'm saying with Sancho. He needs his confidence because Garnacho's come on the pitch direct, electric, takes on players. I'm not saying that Sancho and Garnacho are the same kind of players, but that's what we want to see from Sancho, that kind of thing as well. Crunch said he's too young for me. I want a striker going into his prime. I agree. I think he's a good player to have, but you'd need to sign him and a striker. And I strongly believe there's a decent player in both Sancho and Donny. They just need time and a run of games to be fully fit. I agree. And one of the things I actually wanted to look at here is going over Manchester United's games this season. I want to scroll back to the start of the season here. And look, it started poor. And I want to really talk about this season and the players and the standout moments. Brighton 2-1 horrific. Brentford 4-0 absolutely horrific. This game here, who was brilliant? Jadon Sancho on the right-hand side. Look at the lineup. Jadon Sancho played really well in this game on the right-hand side for United. Goal and assist. One of his best games for United against a team like Liverpool. You know, it was absolutely... You're joking. I've just lost it. He was absolutely fantastic. But again, we scroll back to the start of that's the start of last season. We scroll back to the start of the season. Hurry the fuck up. Where it's just, am I being thick? 6th of October. There we go. Here we go. Brentford, Liverpool. Then we beat Southampton. Then we beat Leicester. Then we beat Arsenal. Then we lose to Real Sociedad because of the most bullshit handball ever. Then we beat Sheriff. Very good football. We played very well in that game. 6-3 Man City was awful. Then we realised when we lost 6-3 to Man City, this is when we bring in Casemiro. So then we win 3-2 to Ammonia. We played well in attack, defensively solid. This game here, to this day, for me, was our best game of the season. This game here was our best game of the season against Everton. I will say that now. We only won 2-1, but look at the lineup we started with. Martial up top, Anthony on the right, Rashford on the left, Bruno, Casemiro, Eriksen, Shaw, Martinez. We didn't have Varane. You had Varane instead of Lindelof, and that's our best 11. And that, against Everton, was our best game of the season, without a doubt. And I think that lineup Which my point is they're definitely capable of getting top 4. Definitely. Bellingham is still a teenager and his price tag is way too high. Maybe 5-6 more years we can justify a higher chance of keeping on now. Bellingham is so good, and because he's so young, that's why his price tag is so good, because you know you'll get him for 10 years and you know that he'll get even better and better and better. I love Bellingham. I think he's a fantastic player, but I think if United only needed a Bellingham type player, I'd spend the money on him. But because United don't just need a striker and a midfielder, they need a goalkeeper, a right back, maybe another midfielder, maybe another winger. You can't spend 100 million on Bellingham. Let's say Bellingham was available next summer, and let's say, this summer we get a striker, we get a midfielder, we get a right back, we get a goalkeeper, and we get a centre back, and all we need to complete the piece of the puzzle to take Ten Hag from second to first is a player like Bellingham. Then you spend 100 million on Bellingham. If you're a Man City where you're already there, your defence is already solid, your attack's already solid, you spend your money on a player like Bellingham. But when you're United, where you need someone in defence, someone in goal, someone in midfield, someone in attack, you can't afford to spend that much money on one player. For me, in the summer, you look at 60, 70 million on Vlahovic. You look at 50 million on a goalkeeper. That's 120 million. You look at 50 million on another midfielder. And that's your 3 positions done. 20 million on a right back. You can't afford to go 150 million on Bellingham, and then you've got 50 million left for that striker, that right back, and that, I don't know, centre back that you need, or whatever, I love Bellingham. I think he's a fantastic player, but Ten Hag wants Bellingham. Ten Hag absolutely loves Bellingham. He's told United he wants Bellingham. But Ten Hag and Man United realised that, one, other clubs want Bellingham that he'd rather go to, and two, we don't have the money to just get Bellingham. We need a striker more. And while United have been linked to Bellingham, it's very obvious that he's more likely to end up at Liverpool and other clubs whose main priority is midfield. Our priority is midfield. Manchester United need midfielders. Manchester United 100% need midfielders. But we can't afford to spend more than 60 million on a midfielder when we need to spend 60 million on a striker and 20 million on a backup right back and maybe even another centre back and maybe even another winger, because I still think we're in an attack. So for me, I think if Enzo Fernandez is 60 million and Frankie de Jong's 60 million and United could get them and they wanted to go to United, then that's the deal United have got to do. That's the player that United got to buy. That's the deal that Manchester United got to do. Now, I love Jude Bellingham. Would I take Jude Bellingham at United? Absolutely. Is Jude Bellingham a fantastic player? Absolutely. But can Manchester United afford to spend all that money on Jude Bellingham? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. United don't buy Bellingham. United create better Bellinghams. I still think I tell you what. Now, I'm not going to compare him to Bellingham, but Kobe Mainoo, there is a very similar place to Bellingham. Very much reminds me, again, a little bit of Paul Pogba. There is a top player in Kobe Mainoo. Kobe Mainoo, whatever it is. I tell you what, I know he's young, and I know it'll take a few years, but he's a top. I think there's a player in Sudan Iqbal, who's a bit older, but I think there's a top player in Kobe Mainoo. I could see next season him doing a bit of a Garnacho impact and actually starting to play in maybe some of the cup games next season. I was really hoping we get a Grimsby or someone in the cup so we could stick Kobe Mainoo in midfield. But there is a player in there. And, I'm not going to compare it to Bellingham. Bellingham's, playing at the World Cup. But we do have some I actually think midfield, if you look at the academy, midfield's our strength. I know we always hear about the attackers, but we always do. Got Garnacho, fantastic. McNeil looks good. Other players look good. But you really look at us, there's Garnacho, there's Mainoo, and there's Iqbal. They are the 3 standout players from the academy. 2 of them are in midfield, and I do think I'd like to see what Kobe Mainoo has to offer as well. Guys, I have a question for you. After striker, okay, everyone, I think we can all agree, number 1 priority is a striker. But where do you go after striker? Do you go midfield? Do you go defence? Do you go goalkeeper? Tell me in the chat where you'd go next. I like to look at Mainoo. I hope he gets nurtured well. I think he will. I think the one thing I like about Ten Hag is Ten Hag's made it very clear he wants to work with the academy. Ten Hag, when he took the Manchester United job, made it very clear that one of his priorities was to work with the academy. He said, I want to work with the academy. I want to get to know the academy. One of his priorities was to work with the Manchester United academy. And that's what I do really like about Ten Hag, his long interest in the United academy, making it good. And Ten Hag's been watching Mainoo for a while, and Mainoo's just been called up for senior training. In the summer, Mainoo got offered a new contract because he was really impressing. Been called up for senior training. They do very much like Kobe Mainoo. They do very much rate Kobe Mainoo because, again, he is a very, very good and talented player. I think a lot of people say midfield next. Some people say right back. Tony would be a good player. Apparently, Mainoo was promoted to the first team, so hopefully he plays in. Yeah, he's just been promoted to the first team because Ten Hag's been watching him. I was playing Football Manager at Man United right now. I'd probably get Bamford on the sheep. Bamford does score goals, but you don't know what you're going to get with him. I don't think he's United quality as well. Alice, what's your prediction for tomorrow's final? 2-1 Argentina. And we need a powerful box-to-box midfielder. Eriksen's okay for the moment for a patch job. I like Eriksen, but one, he can't play every week. And two, we need someone else in that Eriksen role because Fred can't do it. And Donny, we haven't tried. I would like to see Donny in that Eriksen role. I think if he was sharp, he could do it. But 100%, Man United need to try someone new in the Eriksen role. I think Frankie, I still to this day, Frankie de Jong and Enzo Fernandez would be perfect. Like for me, if I was the new owner of Man United and I got to choose who be signed, it would be Vlahovic up top with Gakpo. Then I would go for either de Jong or Enzo Fernandez. I mean, two would be brilliant. I still think we need two midfielders, but I'd probably go de Jong and Enzo Fernandez, and then I would look at Kingman J, and then I would look at, a backup right back. Then I would look at Diogo Costa, who I know didn't have a good World Cup, but I know he's a good player. That's what I would do. I think we definitely 100% need a good midfielder to come up as well. I can't wait for the Burnley game, people. In 4 days, 4 days time, we're playing Burnley. Look at this. Let me scroll up. We scroll over to Manchester United, people. 4 days and 1 hour. 4 days and 1 hour. We are back. We are back against Burnley, the team that I hate watching us play. You know what? Burnley is that team that when Manchester United played Burnley, I'm like, not Burnley. I don't want us to watch us play Burnley. I hate Burnley, people. I hate Burnley. They are so annoying to watch. But I sit here now as a Manchester United fan and I go, you know what? I can't wait to watch us play Burnley because it's been such a long time. And I think I'll see if the predicted lineup's out for Man U Burnley. I don't think it'll be out just yet because there's four games to go. But let me see what the prediction's looking like. We know Varane and Martinez won't play. Have they put any kind of predicted lineup out? They've not put any predicted lineup out yet for United Burnley. But basically, we don't have the best record against Burnley. We don't. And Burnley are in all right form at the moment, but there's no predicted lineup for Manchester United versus Burnley. But if I was to do my predicted lineup for Manchester United versus Burnley, not that anyone's asked, but let me show you what I think would happen versus United Burnley actually as well. And ever since Ragnick mentioned Alvarez and Enzo, I kept a close eye on them. I was so gutted we didn't snap them. So did I. I actually watched 2 River Plate games to watch them. Not that I would watch the Argentina League if I wasn't watching someone. Like, no offense to Argentina, but I live in England. But I actually watched them as well, and I've watched a few Benfica. I'm fuming. So what's going to happen? David De Gea is going to play in goal. Delo will be back at right back. I think Malacia will play left back because Malacia has not played in the World Cup where Shaw has. So I think he'll want Shaw to be more rested. So I think Malacia will play at left back. I think Maguire and Lindelof will play because we know that Varane and Martinez aren't playing. So I think we very much know that this is the back line 100% versus Burnley. Could put my money on it that this is what we're going to see on Wednesday. In midfield, I think we'll see Scott McTominay. And I think we will see Eriksen. And I think Casemiro, again, because like Luke Shaw played pretty much every minute in the World Cup and come out quite recently, I think Casemiro will be rested along with Luke Shaw. I think in the 10, we just have to use Bruno because everyone else is fucking useless. I think that's what we'll do. I think Sancho won't play. Garnacho, for me, will play. I think it'll be Garnacho. I think it will be Martial. And I think it will be Rashford or Antony. I think, again, he might use Antony and rest Rashford for the Premier League game against Nottingham Forest. I would predict that the lineup, I think, for the Burnley game will look something like this. I think Luke Shaw will be rested. Casemiro will be rested because they played a lot of minutes in the World Cup. We know that Varane and Martinez won't play. We know that there's basically no one at right back but Delo. Rashford, I think the thing is, Martial will play and Garnacho will play. And it's between Antony and Rashford. He could play Garnacho on the right and Rashford on the left. I think he might play Antony over Rashford because Antony played less. Well, to be fair, Rashford didn't actually play as much as he should have in the World Cup. But Antony would have been back a day before. So I think that is what we'll see versus Burnley. But again, I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure a good lineup will come out tomorrow. Basically, everyone Ralph Rangnick recommended to us is doing well at big clubs, all going to join them soon. Baffling we didn't listen. Yeah, absolutely spot on, Alex. It annoys me. Enzo Fernandez, Julian Alvarez, Diaz, Vlahovic. I mean, just to name a few, every single Ralph Rangnick recommendation's done well. And it's what we expected, though. I said they would do well because Ralph Rangnick is the guy that was like, to RB, Haaland. He told Salzburg in the early days to get Haaland. Ralf Rangnick spotted Kimmich, Konate, Haaland, Werner. And when this guy said, "Oh, there's this Julian Alvarez gem for 17 million at River Plate, and this Enzo Fernandez gem for 17 million at River Plate," you could sign a gem of an attacker and a midfielder for less than 40 million, which is two positions you massively need. He says that to the board. The board ignore him. But this is the guy that found Kimmich and Haaland, and the board ignore him. Because the Manchester United board have imbecile written on their forehead. Nothing else. Imbecile is written on the forehead of the Manchester United board because they do not listen. And it annoys me. Eriksen should be managed and not overused considering what he's gone through medically. 100% agree. I believe we'll get the best from him. The thing with Eriksen, and I'll say this about Christian Eriksen now, he had some really good games for United. Then he had 3-4 poor games in a row. Then he was rested for a week and then he came back really well. I think, Eriksen's, I'm going to compare to Ronaldo of last season. Ronaldo had good and bad spells last season. He scored 20 goals for us. Ronaldo had a good season last season. But when we got knocked out of Europe and Ronaldo was playing once a week, he was fantastic in the Prem. When Ronaldo was playing twice a week, he wasn't as good. And I think that's with Eriksen. For me, Eriksen should be that once a week player. If Eriksen's playing once a week, he'll be good, but he's not built to play twice a week, which is, again, why I think we need a midfielder in January on top of an attacker. But we know that's not possible because, our board. But 100% with Eriksen, he needs to be managed well because I like Eriksen. He's a very good player. But he needs to be managed well. He's older. He's got to play that one game a week as well. I actually would be surprised if it was Tuanzebe and Lindelof starting. Tuanzebe didn't really feature in pre-season because he's injured, so I won't be shocked. Also, Guardiola, Lema, and Kuku Akanji, all of those he recommended to the club in a short time. Exactly. Rangnick recommended so many top players to United. Rangnick went to Man United and recommended this good player and this good player and this good player and this good player. And Man United just sit there and like they do, as the idiots they are, and ignore him as well. Just our luck when we dip into the South American market and get the Uruguayan Dan James, Palestri. I think there's more in Palestri than we think, but we literally sat on Julian Alvarez and Enzo Fernandez and the board was saying no. Should Donny start potentially? I think this is the lineup we'll see versus Burnley. I think because we haven't played in a while, I think Ten Hag will go with a stronger lineup because he'll want to get some of the first team players playing together again. I think we'll beat Burnley, but if we don't beat Burnley, I don't think it's largely worrying. Nottingham Forest is a difficult game. They're a Premier League side, but I think we will beat Forest. But I think it's going to be weird, and I've always said this, it's going to be weird to see how we respond from the World Cup break. I think it is. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be interesting to see how each team kind of responds. We've had a bit of a break. A lot of these players haven't played together for a while. Some of these players have played. Some of these players hasn't. The fitness can be altercated. It's a bit like the COVID break. There's been 6 weeks with no Man United, no football. So I think one of the interesting things coming out of this World Cup break is how do United respond? How do United play from that? And I think Burnley and Nottingham Forest are 2 decent games where we can sort of test where we're at. I'm glad we're not coming straight back into a Manchester derby or something as well. Eriksen and Varane both need to be limited to once a week. Yeah, 100%. I even think the same with Martial, but he's not the level of Eriksen and Varane, but just because of his injury record as well. To be honest, Ten Hag's ambition is to play Donny at 10, but Bruno seems unbeatable in that position. In my opinion, let's ship Donny and bring in Xavi Simons. Not too familiar with Xavi Simons, but apparently he'll be the next Rooney. I like Donny, but I don't like him as a 10, but Ten Hag does. Bruno, no one can do what Bruno does in the 10 role because it's such a difficult, underrated role. I think Bruno is a little bit underrated. We've tried Fred, we've tried McTominay, we've tried Donny in that 10 role. There's very few players that can do what Bruno does in the 10 role. You're absolutely spot on. I'd like to see Donny in a deeper role, but I am coming to the conclusion that if Donny's not going to make it under Ten Hag, if Donny's going to be struggling under Ten Hag, then I hate to say this, but if he's going to struggle under Ten Hag, there's not going to be lots and lots of hope for Donny van de Beek. I love the player. I love Donny van de Beek, but I do think someone potentially to ship out. It does worry me that if something happens to Bruno, the fear is if something happens to Bruno, Casemiro, or Lisandro Martinez, we are very much in trouble. Dalot's having tests today, and Wan-Bissaka's not serious. I don't think he's going to play, Alice. I think if Dalot doesn't play, it could be Malacia right back, Shaw left back, or we could even see this. We could even see Brandon Williams. I generally think Brandon Williams is more likely to play at right back than Wan-Bissaka. I think from the news coming out, it is very much the end of Wan-Bissaka at Manchester United, like from what I'm hearing from the news coming out and all of that as well. Guys, please do hit that like button if you haven't already. And of course, subscribe down below if you're new. If you want to stay up to date of all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, and more, please do subscribe to the channel as well and share the video. I go live pretty much every evening on the channel. I'll probably go live 5 out of 7 evenings a week. Once football's back, I'll probably be live every evening. So if you are new to the channel and watching right now, we got a watch along Wednesday, a watch along on the 27th, and obviously in between the watch alongs, we've got content news. It's a busy January transfer window, which of course I'll be covering on the channel, people, because United will, I believe United will buy someone. I believe that person will be Gakpo. We haven't brought anyone yet, but I do believe stuff is going to happen this January as well. And Donny's struggling because he's used now and then. I agree. I think with Donny, if you don't play and then you play one game, you're not sharp. Donny, for me, needs 3, 4, 5. Donny needs like 5, 6 games in a row in that Eriksen role. That's what I'd like to see, but I don't think we're in a place where we can do that. Alice, a trophy is a trophy. We have to try anything moving forward. Yeah, I mean, I'd take any trophy. I want us to win a trophy this season. If it was a trophy or top 4, I'd go for top 4 unless it was the Europa League, because Europa League would get us top 4. Just because I think being in the Champions League will be important for, you know, where we are and getting players in the summer. But it'll be 6 years without a trophy. For me, the Carabao Cup, which I've normally not given a fuck about, I would generally proper celebrate the Carabao Cup. I generally would. I think a trophy would be brilliant for Manchester United as well. And just hasn't happened for Donny at Man United at first. He could be a top player when he was signed, yeah. I think for me, as someone said it earlier in the chat, maybe a move to Spain is what Donny needed as well. And Tuanzebe start to play better than Maguire and Lindelof. He's had incredible pace. Tuanzebe had that game where he pocketed on Mbappe, and everyone was like, "Oh, Tuanzebe, this baller." But he's just been injured. I feel a bit sorry for Tuanzebe, but he didn't have a good loan spell. He's been injured. I think Tuanzebe is one to let go, but Tuanzebe is one of those players where I feel like there's a good player in there, but he might be like a Tomori, where he's just not going to do it at United in the Premier League. And just one of those that, you know what, you got to just go bye and let them go as well. Keep smashing the likes, people. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. We're just going to see if there's any more news stories coming out before we end the live stream. I don't want to end the live stream and then there be some breaking news. So what is happening in the world of Manchester United? We are apparently Newcastle told to sign 21-year-old Serie A attacker, which United have been linked to, because United have been linked to everyone, so I don't really care. Obviously, the Guardiola player. Obviously, Man United would be brilliant to get Guardiola. News about Mukayoko to Manchester United. News about Cody Gakpo. This is all the news coming out today. De Gea leaving, as you guys know. We spoke about Vlahovic. That is the news surrounding Manchester United today. So actually, to be fair, today isn't too news heavy, if we're being honest as well. I don't think we'll get Pulisic. There's obviously news on João Felix to Manchester United. But yeah, if there is any breaking news that comes out tonight, I will do a video tonight. If not, I will be back tomorrow with news as well. Will it take Giroud? Nope. Personally not, but I know he's capable of goals. So guys, thank you for watching today's live stream. Please do hit that like button and do subscribe down below if you're new. We'll be back live tomorrow evening. It will be probably a 9 p.m, 8 p.m. live tomorrow evening, so do subscribe for that. And if there's any news, there'll be a video in the day before the World Cup. Thank you for watching, people. See you next time, and bye.